Hi, this video that I'll be getting into will be a tutorial on the pants, and what it will be doing is just giving you an idea on the elements of design and how you can, once you know technique, tools and things that you can use, you'll be able to take a pair of pants, a skirt, a number of different items that you may already have in your closet and add to them. I've done this technique on t-shirts that I would normally never wear again, only to the event that they're for, and I call it elongating them. Now, this tutorial does not have the overlay top that goes with the pants. I did not do a tutorial on that. The pattern came from a Spanish-speaking lady tutorial that I had looked at, and because I don't need to speak the language, I can just see and get ideas. So maybe at some point in the future I can do a tutorial on the overlay top. But I want you to enjoy, and of course if you have any questions or concerns that I could help you with, leave a comment. You can always look in the description area of this tutorial and get my website and go on there. I do have a chat room that I can meet you in. There's a number of different ways that we can communicate. So again, enjoy and be blessed, because you are blessed by the best. And if you have not already joined as a subscriber on my channel, go ahead and do that. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And here we go. Right, this is the tool that I used to place the holes. I just put it on my rotary and pushed it along. That's a special order, and I'll have the information for that blade in the description. These are a pair of shorts, and didn't video that part, but I started right here and just stuck a small, one of my smaller hooks. I have a small B, and just went through each hole that this created, and that gives you your consistency all the way around. And what I did was a single crochet all the way around. That's just the yarn that was, I laid the tail across it as I was doing it. I hate my camera. Alright, so I did that all the way around each leg, and I just tied it off for the first one till I decide what kind of design I'm going to do on for each leg. But I have to duplicate the leg, so I decided to go ahead and video it, because I know once it's done somebody's going to ask me, oh, how much was, how did you do that? Is there a pattern? Well, no, there's no pattern. These pants she paid $9.99 for. Where'd it go? Cute pair of pants with a nice gold zipper. Alright, so I'll be showing you a little bit more as I go along, and then I'll have a top to make to it. But I'll probably just work on the pants and duplicate the top. Alright, sit tight. Let's get ready and start the design. So after you get this part done, come back and we'll just start some diamond shapes and some Solomon knots and some doubles and singles, and just to give it that lacy look. Now what I am going to do is for the first rows, because these are shorts, I'll put about that much of just regular single crochet all the way around to kind of camouflage the leg. So it won't be too holy till it starts getting to the knee. The person that I'm making this for is a very tall lady. So she's got more, you know, the shorts might stop right here. And so I'm going to put about that much of a double single crochet to close that in a little bit before I start the open up the leg and see-through peekaboo style. So once she comes over and I measure her and see where everything's at, then this will just be a design. This is just giving you an idea of how you can take skirts and pants and shorts and jeans and different things and add on to them. All right, so I'll be back. All right, I'm going to, this is where I started on the other side. I'm going to do the inside seam of the pants. These are some shorts. So I'm going to start on the right side of my work. I'm just going to pick a spot. I'm going to go into the top of the single, leave about that much tail, and pull up a loop. I always take my tail and bring it forward in between the two to start locking it in. I don't like to weave in, I like to crochet it in. Then I'll lay it across the top of my work. And then I just go into the space where I did a chain one, because I did a single chain one all the way around because I needed to have that enough space in between to get to the next created hole that I did with the tool I had to make the holes. Alright, so now I'm just going to do singles. So I'll do a single in the space where the chain one is, and then I'll do a single in the single in the space of the chain one, and then a single in the single, and I'll do this all the way around. And I'm also doing it in the inside of the leg, thigh, so that you don't see this, the beginning and the end. The seam, it'll be continuous, and that'll hide that look. Alright, I'm finished with my tail. My tail is all gone. I'm going to give you a close-up, see how that looks. When I come back, I'll have about 7 or 8 rows, however many rows I decide to do. I'm just going to go around. When I come back to the end, I'll come back to the end and show you how I connect it together and move up to the next row. I'm also using, I went up a hook size, so I'm on an F now. This is F 3.75. The first one was a B. It's smaller so that I can get into the holes going around there, the hem. So now I'm using an F, and I'm on the other side of the pants, but here's the tail from where I cut. So I'm going to just lay this in front of my work and crochet over it, still following the same pattern, singling in the chain one and singling in the single, and just do that all the way around, and it's a really, really nice look. And I'm just going over my yarn right now, just laying it down. Can you see that? This camera in this position doesn't zoom in, so I can't zoom in for you, but I do want you just to see how nice it looks. Really, really, really nice. Alright, and I'm working my way around to this leg, to this side. I'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm at the end, the last stitch. I'm going to go in the last stitch here with a single. And I'm just going to go on the top of both loops of that first chain. It's a little tight, slip through. close it off, chain up one, go back in that same first one, and continue. Now, if I wanted to make a design, which I think I will, an element of design here, I'm going to go in the back loop. All right. So the reason I'm going to do that is because it's going to give it a ridge. And I pay attention to detail, so I love to put three-dimensional looking things in my work. The feel of it is really soft. Now, this is not a really soft yarn I chose. The yarn I wanted was a cotton, and it was like $4.99 for 379 yards. So I got the bundle, the big one that had 1,263 yards in it. And then because I figured this will be enough yarn for me to do both legs and a top, a cute little top, an overlay basically. And this was loops and threads, and I paid $9.99. I actually used a 40% off coupon, and this was at Michael's, my Michael's Craft store. So again, it had 1,263 yards in it, and it wasn't really my choice for this, but since these pants are only going to be probably worn once or twice, special occasions, it's an all-white party, I didn't spend a whole lot of money on the yarn, because the yarn would have cost me, it was $5.99, so 6, 12, 24, that's 25, $25, where this cost me $9.99 less 40%. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to do the back loop, and then you'll see the little line appear when you leave out the front loop. It gives you the ridge. If you don't, you want to just go in the whole single crochet, that's fine also. But I'm going to pierce, I'm going to have to do about probably 10 or 15 rows before I start my Solomon knot, diamond shapes, and double crochets, and some other different designs for the legs. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Come back when you're ready to, when you get both legs done, and then you want to start the design in the leg. Okay, this is 10 rows. 10 rows, single crochet, back loop. How do I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is the seam where it came together, not too noticeable on the inside leg. And so I have done both legs. And now I'm going to start adding on. I've also weaved in my end tail. I'll cut that in a minute. And so now I'm going to start a design. Alright, so I'm going to chain 3, slip stitch in there and a chain 3, and then I'm going to skip 2, and in the third stitch I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to chain 3, I'm going to skip 2, and do a single crochet. I'm going to do that all the way around. Alright, so I'm chaining 3. In the third one, I'm doing a single. Chaining 3, and in the third stitch, I'm doing a single. Chaining 3, third stitch, doing a single. I'm going to continue that all the way around, and I'm still using the same hook. And this one is F. This is the F hook. After this row, I will increase up to probably F, G, H. Right now, I'm at the end and chain 3. And there's 2 spaces in between. I'm going to go in the middle with a single, and then I'm going to continue in the round. This is a round, so this will be completing the first round. I'll go into the middle with a single. Okay, this is going to be the diamond shape, so I'm going to do this for, I'm not sure how many rows. I'll come back maybe 4 or 5 or 6 before I change to another stitch. but every row you do, and I'm just going into the space, into the chain 3 space, and this is going to be a continuous circle. So what I'm going to need to do is go back over here and place a marker so that I know where my beginning and my end is, because this is my end and this is my beginning. So if I put a marker there, I'll see it. You just continuously keep going. Okay, I'm at row 5. How do I know this is row 5? I'm going to count. There's my marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 spaces at an angle. That gives me 5 rows of diamonds. I'm still using the same hook, an F, and I'm thinking I want to do 5 more rows. So I have the 10 rows of diamond shapes, and now I'm going to go right into the next chain stitch, where I'm going to change patterns. This one's going to be called Solomon's Knot. So with a Solomon's Knot, I pull up a loop and I hold up at the top of that loop and I yarn over, pull a loop through, and then I go in between that space I just created and I do a single crochet. And that's the first half of the Solomon's Knot. And I will do that all the way around, because an actual Solomon knot is 2 of these. But just starting off from such a small diamond shape, I don't want my holes to be really, really big. Because if I was going to do another Solomon's knot, I would pull up another loop, pinch up here, yarn over, pull through, and the space that I have created, I would go into that space with a single. That's a Solomon's knot. And then I would jump over 3 or 4 2 spaces and connect with a single. But because I don't want the holes that big coming from these small diamonds, I'm just going to do half of a Solomon's knot for the first row and see how that looks. Alright, so I did half of the Solomon's knot, and I'm going to go right into the next diamond shape with a single. See that? So I'm going to do it again. Pull up. Okay, here are the shorts, and now I have just completed 4 rows of half of a Solomon's knot. And I'm going to change patterns at this point. Alright, at this point I'm going to go back to single crochets, and I'm going to put 2 singles in the circle, 1 single in the single, 2 singles in the space, 1 single in the single, all the way around. And that should give me the same amount of stitches that I started with back here at the beginning. So what you may want to do is count all of your stitches here, and then make sure that you're putting that same amount of stitches, singles, in here, so that you still have the same width. Now if you wanted to make it wider, then you would put more stitches, but at this point I'm going to put 1 single in here, then I'm going to put a single in the single, and I'm going to put 2 singles in the space, 1 single, 2, and then I'm going to count mine up and come back and let you know what number I came up with. This is what I came up with for my count. What I did was, on this, so that I'll have the same number up here as down here, each one of these singles from this marker all the way around, these singles right here, I counted, and I had 40, look at my notes, I had 44. I have 44. So I took 44 and I did times 3, and that gave me 132. So this is how many stitches I have up here. So I did singles all the way around. So I started with one single, one more single in here, because this is when I pulled it together at the end of the row with a single. So I put one single in that space, then I did a single in the single, then I did two singles in the space, the hole right there, then I did a single, two singles in the space, and a single. Okay, so remember, when you get ready to go into the single, there's going to be two things there. You only want to go into the one. All right, and you'll see it when you get ready to do it. When you get ready to go into the single, there'll be two side by side, but you only want to go into the one. And you're going to do singles all the way around. So I've done a single all the way around, and then I'm going to do singles all the way around again, and I'm going to do about 2 or 3 rows, so I have a little border before I start my next stitch, my next change, because I want to have a break in between there. Because when this is pulled out, you really see the diamond shapes in that. So I want to have distinct designs in each leg. All right, so this is getting fun. I'll be back. All right, I'm back, and I did the singles, and I did my singles in the back loop. I did 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4. So I did 5 rows of singles in the back loop. And now I'm starting a new design. So this will be the new design where I'm chaining up 3 for the double and then putting 2 chains in between. And I'm going to skip 1 single below and go into the second one with a double crochet. So the pattern all the way around will be double crochet, chain 2, skip 1 single below, and go into the next single with a double crochet. So we're going to do that all the way around. When we come back to here, we'll connect in that chain 3, the top of the chain 3. We'll chain up 3 and continue for the next round. And I'll probably do about maybe 8 to 10 rounds, and then I'll come back and we'll see where we're going next. I have a wonderful design that I'm looking at right now to finish out the pants leg. So I measured my pants already on my client, and her length from the bottom of the shorts was 28. So I have to make this 28 inches to the top of her foot. And it's going to be beautiful. And so just remember, if you're making it for yourself or a client, you get their measurements. So you'll know how long you want to make it. So again, I'm just doing a double crochet, chaining 2, skipping 1, single at the bottom, and going into the next one with a double. We're going to do that around, closing off, slip stitching into that corner, chain 3, chaining up 3, and continuing on for the next round. Do as many rounds as you like. If you're following my pattern completely, when we get back, I'll show you what's next. I get to going and I forget to tell you where I'm at. So what I ended up doing here was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did 10 rows. 10 rows. Forgot to tell you. And then I changed and went right back into the half of the Solomon's knot, which is down here. So I'm going to do this for a bit because the lady who I'm making these pants for, she's very tall. So it's going to be 28 inches, as I stated earlier, from the bottom of here all the way to the floor on her. So I have to put in another design to get to the really pretty design that I want to add at the bottom. That's going to be the same design that I put on her top. All right, so bear with me here. So this is where I'm at now. I'm just now getting ready to go. I am 2 rows into that half of Solomon's knot. Still can't do the original Solomon knot with the 2 loops because it would just make them flare too big. And maybe you'd like to do that and make them flare like that. But on this particular piece, I'm not going to be able to do the Solomon's knot. So I'm just doing half of the Solomon's knot. But it still looks really good. I'm loving it. All right, so I'll be back when I get ready to do my designs. I'm going to go back to this one, and then I'll do my designs at the end where what I'm going to be doing is adding some pineapples. Some pineapples that'll just be at the bottom, pineapple design. So you'll be able to work with me on that one. All right. Alrighty, so what I ended up doing was 4 half of the Solomon knots. And then so I could get back to doing my singles, I didn't do exactly the same thing I did back here and put the 2 in the middle and the 1. This one I did a little different. I did 1 single in the space, 1 single in each single crochet of the Solomon's knot. And what I mean by that is here's the Solomon's knot, and there's a knot here. Oh, my nails look terrible. And there's a knot here. So what I did was I put a single in the space, a single in this knot, and a single in this knot. And then I went into the space of the next one, and then I put a single in the knots all the way around. And when I did that all the way around, that gave me 100 single crochets. So for the next 3 rows, what I've done was added increases. So every 10 singles, I increased on this row. Every 10 singles, I increased on this row. And every 10 singles, I increased on the 3rd row. And I'm still doing the back loop. And that gave me, at the end of the 3 rows, I have 130 stitches. So I'm going to just leave it at the 130 because at some point I'm going to be starting another increase. But the reason I did that because I just wanted to get it to lay nicely, but I wanted to still be at my same stitch count as I was here. And here I was at 132 all the way around. So here at 130, the two stitches shouldn't hurt me. All right, and this is just in a design mode, so this is what happens when you're designing. But I had to video this so that when I get ready to make the other leg of these pants, I will be able to duplicate this one off of the video that I'm doing here. All right, so bear with me as we go. I'm going to measure this and see where I'm at. And I may add a couple of more single rows. And my flash just went off. All right, so I'll come back when I get ready to do the next design. All right, I'm back. I did my measurements. Am I at about 19 inches? I need 28 inches. So my last 8 to 9 inches, I'm going to start my pattern for my pineapple. So I'm going to go back to that design, the square design. So I started that row off with, I do a single on the first one and then I chain 1, which represents a double crochet. And then I did the 2 chains that'll be in between. Skip 1 single from the row before, do a double, chain 2, skip the single from the row before, do a double in the next one. And that'll be the pattern all the way around. I'll connect when I come back over here to that chain 3 right there. I'll chain up my 3, or you can chain up your 3, or you can do like I've done right here to kind of make it look like a double crochet. I do a single and then I chain 1. And that gives it the effect that it looks like a double crochet. And then I'm going to do 8 rows of this. And once I do 8 rows, I'll come back and we're going to start to work the pineapple. And I'll end out the pants at the bottom with the pineapple design, which I'll take and do into the top. And the top is called an overlay. See you in a minute. All right. I did 8 rows of the chain 2 double crochet. Now I'm going to start, and I kept calling it a pineapple, but it's actually not a pineapple. It's a feathery fan kind of looking design. I had pineapple on my mind because I'm going to be making a pineapple dress. But we'll get started with the design. So what we're going to be doing right now is a V shape to start out with. So the first thing I did was chained up 3, actually chained up 4. And then I did a double crochet back into that same stitch. I chained 2 and I skipped the 1 bar, the 1 double crochet. Went into the next double crochet with the V shape. And that, for some reason, my flash keeps going out. In the next one, I'll do a double crochet, a chain 1, a double crochet into the same space, into the same stitch. That's a V shape. Then I'll skip the next double crochet and I'll do a V shape. So these are called V shape pattern. And I'll do that all the way around. Come back and we'll show you what we do next. Alright, I'm at the end of my V shape and I'm going to chain 2 here and slip stitch right into the middle of this space. And then I'm going to chain up 3 and I'm going to put a double crochet in there, chain. Alright, so on the next row, into that V stitch, I slip stitched and then I chained up 3 and I did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into that space. Chain 2 in between, go into the very next V stitch and chain, do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and do that all the way around. Chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets all the way around. And when you come to the end, it'll look like this. And you're going to chain the 2. And what I'm going to do is slip stitch in the top of that 3rd stitch. And then I'm going to slip stitch over into the space. Okay, so I've connected it together. Where I went into that corner with a slip stitch over to the space. Chained up 3, double crochet. And I'm going to stick with the chain 1 and do the double crochet in here. Chain 2 in between. And I'm going to continue this. I was going to do something different, but I don't want it to start flaring yet because I still have 4 or 5 more inches to go. And I'm not trying to make bell bottoms. So I'm going to keep this same stitch for about 3.5 more inches, which is probably about 2, 4, 6 more rows. And then what I'm going to do is just do the 2 double crochets. Then I'll chain 2 and do 2 double crochets. And in between, instead of doing 2, I'll do 3 chains. And that'll give it, make it even wider, and it'll start being kind of wavy. And I'll just wave out those last 2 rows. But when I get ready to do the chain 3 in between, I'll come back and show that to you. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I've done, with the doubles, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when I got to 5, I did the chain 3 in between and put a chain 2 in the middle. So now I'm on row 6, and I'm doing the same thing, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets, 3 chains in the middle. And then that's just widening it, giving it a more flare. Let me see if I can lay it down so you can. All right, that's the bottom. Flare it out. There's the rest of the pants. All right, Alright, so you have the whole pattern there. Beautiful. So I ended up with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of that pretty design. I'm going to take that and put that into my top along with this. You'll see, be really cute. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I'll put some pictures at the end of the lady in the event.